And then I'm going to change this. If you'll recall, we have already done all of our audio editing. We have done, and we started to do the video editing. And we had our multi-camera monitors up. And this is what we were using to do our editing. Remember, there was 2 or 3 different ways to make cuts here. The simplest way probably is to simply make a cut with the blade tool, like that, and then select the clip and change its multicam camera angle to whichever one you would like. So we're already on camera. There we go. I really don't want to cut to that one just yet. And we talked about making an adjust using the rolling edit tool. So I can grab these cuts and move the ins and outs. But the most efficient, and especially if you're doing something that's not moving super fast, is to just hit the buttons on the fly. So let's do that. As we're watching this, you know, I'm also looking for issues, bumps, you know, audio that I may have missed earlier in the process. Alright, now right here, we had camera 2. It was off for a second for some reason or another. I don't know what that reason was, but it doesn't really matter. You can always check. Remember, we can go back and forth between these two. I'm going to hold Command. And that's just where camera 2, just where camera 2 turns on, that's all. Okay. Okay, so there's no reason to switch cameras necessarily while she's singing. There's nothing else going on, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of fast forward to the end of her song. cameras are not moving, they shouldn't be shaking. You shouldn't have your hands on them, so. And here we come to the end of her song. Got our computer running away from us. Here we go. And we're back in our action. Here comes the minister on this other angle. I'm going to cut to that other angle right here, and that's angle 4. And as soon as they round the corner and they come walking down the aisle, I'm probably going to wait for the groom. Okay, and there's an instance right there where my computer seems to be slowing down. It's making it a little bit more difficult for me to edit, and that's alright. I'm just going to slow down a little bit and let my computer catch up with me. You know, this is asking a lot of any computer to be able to run two standard definition video streams and 2 4K streams. So I'm asking a lot of it here. Plus it's running dual monitors because I'm actually recording one of the feeds, which is a duplicate feed, but still asking a lot. And I'm going to cut to the wide angle here because I'm sure my camera will pan back for the groom, and it does. And I'll pick up the groom there. If you'll notice, my computer's running a little bit better now. All it had to do is catch up with me. I'm going to back it up just a little bit. Catch up. If y'all see what I'm doing, I'm just ping-ponging back and forth between these two cameras. So as soon as these guys come into range of camera 1, I'm going to go to them. And then as soon as they come out of range, I'm going to go back to the wide shot. And they're moving fairly slow, and I can catch them pretty good. I know that when they get about parallel with camera 1, that's when I'm going to not use that camera anymore. Okay. When you notice that you have missed an edit, go ahead, stop what you're doing, roll back, and if you notice this guy here, start panning back before I cut away, right there. Not much, it's subtle, but it's there. So I'm going to use that rolling edit tool to fix that. Yep. Now I'm going to go back to what I was doing. I'm letting these guys go a little deeper than I was at the beginning. I did it again. Alright. You don't have to use a rolling edit tool. You can just do it like that if you like. That guy looks like Jason Lee. I did it again. Usually toward this just kind of one of those things you learn after a while. Usually toward the end of the processional, people start getting antsy, and the groomsmen or the bridesmaids start going a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster. There's me doing a little pan when I notice the last groomsman comes out. That's a little too fast. I don't like that shot. Yeah, I don't like that shot. So here's what you do when you make an edit and you don't really like it. Right click and just change the camera. Not the camera. Let's go to Chris's shot, camera 2. And here comes the bridesmaids. Okay, this is Chris adjusting the camera, so we don't want that. So I'm gonna peel that back. We don't want to come in with bridesmaid that far out of sync. And be watching this camera up here. For me picking up that first bridesmaid right there. I'm not going to go to this other camera. I'm not going to do that. Because it's going to get super confusing. That camera really, you know, I wanted the bride in it mostly. And that's what I'm going to get. Well, I'm going to do I don't always do it, but I'm gonna cut these bridesmaids in with where they normally go, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. It's a good opportunity to show you how to do that. This is like a little extra. We're certainly not required to do it, but right now I'm gonna cut it without doing anything. I'm just gonna cut the bridesmaids walking down the aisle. And I'm gonna worry about inserting the other camera angle in a minute. And I know I just missed an edit right there, but I've got a little bit of editing to do on these. So I'm gonna wait to fix that as I'm inserting the other shots. That one's just way too far off. These sections here, honestly, are the hardest sections. So yeah, this is just, you know, once you've finished all the mixing all your audio and all that kind of business, this should be really the only part that you even remotely spend any sort of time on. Because it's the only other part that has any, that is trouble at all. Missed that one too. Yeah. This is the word I was talking about. They're going like super speed. Look how fast she's going. I'll wait for my computer to catch up with me here. It's not liking me down there. Alright, now that's, we've lost camera 1 here, and we've lost camera 1 because I turn my camera off and I come around the front. Okay, so my camera should pick up here in a minute. And we're going to go to this rear camera here in a second. Now the bride and groom have not seen each other here, so I expect to get a good look out of the groom. Except for my dorky face is in the way. So that means I'm going to cut into it a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and leave it for now. The photographer's in my shot over here, so this is my shot for right now. Alright, I'm going to cut back to here where the camera shuts off. I don't know why it shuts off. Alright, so one of the complaints that a lot of the guys have on, or my guys have on doing multi-camera editing is that it doesn't allow you to, what I used to call shunting. I don't know what the real term for it is. You know, time shifting is probably an accurate description as any. But they say that it makes it difficult to do that because they just say it's difficult to do that. I'm not sure. Maybe if you're trying to keep everything together, it would make it difficult, but I don't really worry about trying to keep it together. What I'm going to do is, you got 2 or 3 different choices here. One choice is to go back to your original footage, find the pieces you want to use, and then bring them in. If we're looking at the multicam here, let's look at the very first girl that comes down the aisle. Actually, this is the guys here. Alright, so let's look at the guys coming down the aisle. Alright, so here's the groom. When does the groom start walking, and when do I pick him up? Okay. Minister walks out, and the groom hangs back for a second. I follow the minister down. I cut to the minister, and that's when I back up the train just a bit. So I cut to the minister right when the groom is stepping out to make a turn down here. So I'm on the minister when the groom walks out, so we don't really get to use that angle like we should. I mean, we get a little bit of it, but not a lot of it. And then we cut to the back of the groom's head here. If we can, we don't really want to see the back of his head. We really want to see him walk out, and then I want to see him walk out, and then I want to jump to this shot of him in the front. And this is all caused by the fact that there's a long walk up, and I've got a camera who's, you know, pointed in a different direction, and even though it's synced in real life, in the video it looks like it's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this angle here. No, this angle. I'm going to take this angle, and I'm going to modify that angle in such a manner that it more closely resembles not what actually happened, but what would look like it should have happened, if you know what I mean. And there's, like I said, there's 2 ways to do it. One, we can go back to the original footage, pull this angle down, layer it over the top of what we're doing, or what I'm probably going to do is take it and move it up and pull it out all the way to It's still the same camera angle. I'm going to pull it out to the end of the segment that we're working on, which is the introductions. Okay, makes sense? Now I'm going to shift it in such a manner that it makes sense with what we're looking at. Okay, so I'm going to scrub through. I'm going to find where the groom steps out of frame, and that is right there. Okay, and I'm going to put a marker with an M on that clip. I don't know if it's letting me do that. Marker. Add marker. Am I going to show markers? Show clip markers. Alright, so I got a marker right there. Okay. Now I am going to turn this clip off. I'm going to de-click enable, and that makes it go away. Right? Now I'm going to find where I want. That's the groom right there. I'd like to cut to the back of the groom just for a split second before I show him in the front. Actually, probably not. So what I'm going to do is find where that marker goes right there. You notice that I have shifted this 5 seconds and 13 frames to the right. So now it is out of sync with the video. Okay, now I'm gonna turn this back on by enabling it. Okay, and now we have the minister walks out and rounds the corner, and now I'm gonna cut right there and then peel this back in such a manner. Okay, so now the minister comes out and rounds the corner, and maybe, yeah, we pick him up on that other camera. Groom walks out, rounds the corner, cut. You see what I'm doing here? Every single, now that I've shifted it, they're all off by the same amount because these people are coming from the same place. He rounds the corner. I'm going to cut, peel back until I see the next guy going to round the corner. Pay attention to who these guys are too. Okay, this is this guy, and now we have this guy. Same guy. Huh? Okay. Alright, so I am back from my short interruption. What I'm doing here is cutting up the fourth angle in such a manner that it more closely matches the action at hand, with less regard for actual syncing things up and more regard for the way things look to be synced up. Alright, that's ICDC in the background, but I'm actually... Alright, so now we have a big old gap here. So we're probably going to have to move things around a little bit more. So it's taking a while to... And it's not uncommon for things to get a little off as we go. That's why we're going to kind of do things as we go. kind of don't want to. I don't want to get the thing so far off that it makes it confusing. So I'm actually gonna let him go off screen and then go back to this one for a second. Maybe I can kind of keep it back on track here. I could go through and go ahead and single out. By the way, you can always do this. You don't have to look at things in a multicam viewer like this. You can look at things in a normal way. And if you do that, most of the time it runs a lot faster because it's not having to interpolate like all these different camera angles all at the same time, you know. So maybe while we're doing this, this is probably the better way to look at things. Alright, so cut there. This is this guy. This guy. Move this down. Move that here. Pull that to there. Notice I'm not worried about the audio here. This is a good demonstration of what I was talking about earlier. As things go on, the guys and the girls both start walking faster. So notice we're, you know, we're 5 minutes behind and not just a couple of minutes behind we were a second ago. We're just going to go on down the line, moving these things into place. I like to leave a little bit of tail room here after the subject walks out of frame, right there, a couple of seconds for them to get a little bit down the aisle so that it kind of, so it doesn't look like they jump from the back to the middle. It's still, you know, there we go. Shall ask our groomsmen. Alright, now we're going to switch over to the girls. Girls going to be a little different. We want to see a different part of the girls. So we may not, let's see, we may not see them leave frame. We're going to try doing it exactly the same way, but we'll see. We'll work on our timing here in a minute. And by the way, I have not forgotten about this gap right here. We're going to do something with that. Okay. Okay. So this is a shot that we are not going to worry about too much because I'm going to lift that from the storyline and probably delete it, because what we don't want is to have that twice. So I'm going to pick up the girls right there. That's what I'm going to use for that. And here she is right here. Okay. Chris's. I'm going to use a little bit of it. I won't use as much of hers. And we can use it a little bit here too. Okay. Next girl. I'm gonna go ahead and cut up all the girls here. No, I'm gonna do it as I go. Okay, where's the next one? Just a black one. Okay. I'm not going to worry about that little bobble because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to cover it up anyhow. This is, by the way, not required on all wedding ceremony edits. You know, it's not even required on this one. Check. Okay. Can you think of another situation in which this kind of shunting, this kind of time shifting might help you? If you are ever doing a full introduction to bride and groom, a lot of times, you know, if you're in a big hall, and it's, you know, it's really partially, it's kind of almost somewhat the DJ's fault on some of this, but if you're in a big hall, a lot of times they'll call people's names when they'll call, you know, Betty and John Smith, and Betty and John Smith walk out the door, but that, you know, it's like 50 feet till they get to the dance floor when your camera picks them up, in which case you've got the DJ calling the next person's name, you know. So John and Betty Smith, he calls her name, and then right immediately after he calls somebody else's name, and then immediately after that he calls the third party's name. It's not until the third party's name gets called till the first couple walks out on the dance floor. And that's not, you know, Becky and Jody Smith anymore. He's saying something else. So in that case is another case where doing this would help. A little bit of camera bobble. I'm going to be able to cover that up with this. Okay, grab this next girl. I'm going to show you guys how to do the exact same thing with Final Cut 10 as well. Again, I think Final Cut 10's implementation of multi-camera editing is actually better than Premiere's, mostly because you can sync. You don't have to sync everything at once. You can like start with 2 camera angles and then add another camera angle as you go, which is kind of neat. You know, when I'm working in multi-camera editing right now, and this is essentially working like single camera editing. It's just that these assets represent more than what you're seeing. even this one I pulled out, I can actually change it to be, you know, another camera. I'm not gonna do that because that's weird. So I'm gonna keep it at the camera I have. There's the bride's daughter. Sweet girl. Very helpful in the getting footage. And she walks out right there. I actually I kind of like this shot of her, the back of her head, so I'm gonna put it right here. See what that looks like. Looks like she's paused for a minute. The little girl probably paused for a minute. I think the photographer stopped her for a second to get a good photo. We're not going to sweat that stuff too much. Alright. And here comes the bride. Alright, now they got this planner lady mucking up our shot. We're not going to worry about that. This is not that kind of edit, you know? This is strictly documentary purposes. And yes, I have spent a little bit of time improving upon the timing associated with the edit, but not so much that I can't do something else. Alright, so little girl walks all the way down. Here comes bride. So we're going to fix this. I'm going to try to cut myself out of it and we'll see how that goes. If I can't cut myself all the way out of it, I don't, excuse me, I don't really care. I may be able to cut myself out by using the footage I shot, so. Okay, we got a big gap here with no sound whatsoever. So she's quit singing. I'm actually going to cut here. I'm going to cut the silence out. That's the first step. Okay. Now I'm going to peel this part back and hit A. A selects everything, by the way. If you see, it selects everything to the right of my arrow. Now I'm going to hit V for my arrow, get my arrow back. I'm actually just going to drag this to here. Let's see what this looks like. Alright, so it looks pretty natural. What we need, all we need is a little bit of ambient noise. Perfect. Don't overthink this stuff. It doesn't. You don't need it to be any better than that. Okay. Now we need to take care of, see if we can cut me out of the shot here. Okay, this is the shot. Bad news is, hold on a second. I got to blow my nose. Alright, sorry about that. I had to blow my nose. I'm back to work now. The bad news is that this is a really good shot of the groom, and me, the videographer, is screwing that shot up pretty royally. So let's see if we can cut around it. In retrospect, I probably should have stayed on my knees and out of the shot. Alright, so I like this when the father of the bride and the bride step up into frame, I'm a lot less noticeable. Not only does dad cover me to a little bit of an extent, but I'm no longer like the focus of the shot. So, and I know that I have footage from my camera. So I'm going to do kind of the same thing I did before. I'm going to go back to the multi-camera view, and I should see my footage. I don't see my footage. Let's see if I can see what's going on with there. I don't know why I'm not seeing my multi-camera function over here. Alright, where is... This is Sony footage. This is should be GH4 footage. It is. It's GH4 from the back. Where is the stuff I shot? For example, the side camera. Should be here. All right. All right, there it is. There it is. Okay. So this is 1P13700324. Here is 1370326. I need 1370325. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to find this in the reveal in Finder here. Reveal in Project rather. Okay. It's going to come up as a processed clip, but where is it? Where is 2.5? It didn't get processed. It didn't get processed and it didn't get synced. Okay, well, if that is the case, and it certainly appears to be, I'm going to find it in the regular bin, 103.137.03.25. Here it is, right here. And I'm going to take a look at that clip, and you'll see that it is my clip of the little girl and the mom and all of these people. Okay. I could stick this thing in here, but I have a feeling I need to shunt it around so much that there's no real point in that. I'm going to bring it into here, and I'm going to drag not the video and the audio, and I'm not going to drag it like this because that brings both. I'm going to grab just the video and drag the video into my timeline. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing here that I did with this footage, and that I'm going to put it in place more in line with what makes sense and not what is in sync. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go to the clip, look through the clip, and find all of the usable segments, every usable frame in this clip. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to go back to my composite view, right? And I'm going to scrub through this stuff. Oh, I shot this in 4K, so it's actually blown up here on my screen. Right click it and go scale to frame size. Okay. So that is a better representation of what it actually looks like. Usable search right about there.
You may be seated.
We're not worried about the audio in the background. Remember, that's from something else. I could turn it off if it was important, if it was bothering me. Okay, so I got the little girl walking down the aisle. I tried to get a shot of her standing there, but time was of the essence here, so here's a shot of mom crying. That's going to be a good filler.
Word of greeting and welcome. You all are very special in their hearts and in their lives.
Okay, get steady-ish right
We're
around
thankful
there.
that you've come to share in this wonderful time of covenant making.
Okay, cut again. I'm only gonna get it. Honestly, I'm only gonna get a couple of shots out of this one clip.
Of men and of angels, but have not love. I am a noisy gong or a clanging.
Camera tilts to the side. I don't want to use that.
Noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I
I'll pick it back up right there.
have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries,
Green kind of stands off
and
to
if
the
I have
side
all
here.
faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love.
Okay. So I've got a couple of shots in here that I can use as both enhancement and cover for me being in the way. So we'll see what gets used where.
My body to be burned, but not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient and kind. Love does not.
When the minister tells everybody to sit down, I'm probably not use it anymore after that. Once you're at that point in the edit, then you're back to real time. You should be back to real time. That's your goal. Whenever you're monkeying with the time or the timing, your goal is that when the minister tells everybody to sit down, you're back in real time. So everything after that point needs to be in sync, because that's when the audio starts to matter. Yeah, that's why I didn't bother moving any of the audio in place. I knew that all of the audio here would be out of sync anyway. All right. By the way, see what's going on here? All of a sudden, this video is blank. That's because it is a nested sequence, and it is turned off here. Okay. I'll come back to here, and everything should be hot again. Okay, so the first little piece of video we have is a little girl, so where should that go? Let's see. I can hear somebody talking in the background. I don't know what that is. It's somebody who's standing back over here where that microphone was. I don't know that I'm going to do anything about it. Okay, the next shot should be, okay, that's me shooting mother, so that's a good time to stick mom in. Okay, so I could do like this. Could probably can I drag it out a little? Okay, I'm not going to be able to cover me up right there, but I don't think it's a big deal. I've got, well, yeah, I can. Hold on a second. I got this shot. All right. Okay, now I've got a shot of her getting a little closer. Put that right about there. Got a shot of this, of him stepping in place, so that goes right about there. I'm feeling this more than anything, and then he asked everybody to sit down, so I'm going to wait till he sticks his hand up in the air, right there. And I'm going to leave the blue line there, and then I'm going to take this and move that line right there. We'll see how that looks. I'm just going to play through it, see what it looks like, and if it looks okay, we'll use it.
You may be seated.
Okay, so we're a little off there as far as the audio is concerned. And I'm going to, I'm not going to sync this up. It's not important that it be synced up. I'm just going to cut out of that shot before he talks. That's it. Okay? Alright. Now we've gone back down to nothing here. I have to go here and see if something is turned off. Looks like the wide angle cut out for a minute. Yep.
You may be seated. Angels, but have not love.
Okay. I'm going to turn our multicam back on so we can continue the multicam edit. And I need to cut to the other camera here. Actually, I need to continue with the same camera. So I need to go to camera 2.
Okay.
Ready? Alright, so this is a good place to stop here. This is, for the most part, this section in here is the hardest part to edit. If you've done this part, you can almost skip to the end, and that's what I'm going to do here in a minute. I'm going to skip to the end, and we'll do the same thing on the back side, probably to a lesser degree. There's less to see with everybody exiting, and there's not, there's certainly less interest in actually seeing it. So I am going to stop there, take a break, stop there, and we'll pick this up again. Thank you.